Hi everybody, in this video we're going to take it a little bit further and instead of working with just copying a worksheet into a current workbook that we're using and creating formulas that are using different sheets within the same workbook, we're actually going to bring in data from separate workbooks now and use formulas with multiple workbooks going at the same time. So one thing I do want to note here is that I already have open on my computer some of the different Excel files that are provided with Chapter 5 for us. So you can see the one here that I have, which is that main 5.1 document, but I also opened a couple others. So in the background, I have opened the document entitled Support EX5 2023. And I also have open Support EX5 2022. And there are a couple other files that are similar that have different dates. I just have the first two open right now. All right, so you do want to have any workbooks that you're using open, running in the background on your computer to start. And I'm going to show you how to copy in data from those other workbooks. So I'm going to just kind of follow along with your text and do what they're doing here, at least for some other way. So what I would like to do is I would like to go to my region summary, and you can see here that we have that 2024 data. And I did reopen my my workbook, so what we did in the last few videos is not here, but you have that 2024 column. And I'm going to bring in 2023, 2022, and you can keep going down the line there. But again, they're on different workbooks. They're not in this workbook right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the workbook 2023 first. So I'm going to open my Excel file, and I'm going to use the one that says Support 2023. And I'm going to go to the profit and loss page, and I'm going to copy the 2023 data right here. So I'm just going to highlight it and go all the way down. And I'm going to go to my home screen, and I'm just going to go ahead and click copy. Now I'm going to go back to my first workbook, which is where I would like to bring this data. And I would like it to go in the next column. So I'm going to click cell C5, and I am going to click the paste button here. And I do want to be a little careful. I want to paste the one that has the link. By using paste link, it will not just bring in the raw data, but will actually link to the original worksheet. So I'm going to go ahead and select that. And you do have a little bit of cleaning up to do. So I am going to select the B column, and I'm going to use that format painter feature. And then I'm going to copy it right to the C column. So now it matches the same formatting that I was doing there. And notice if you click on one of these cell references here, it's going to tell you exactly which workbook we got this data from. And that's the important of when you're pasting, that you're using that paste with the link reference to it so that you can see where that data is coming from. It doesn't just copy in the data points. So you have that reference here. It tells you the sheet that we use. So it was from the profit and loss sheet. And then that was cell B6. This is cell B7 and so on. I'm going to clean this up in a minute, but let's do the other one. So let's say I want to bring in my 2022 data. I'm going to open my 2022 file here. Again, I'm going to go to my profit and loss sheet, and I'm just going to copy in the 2022 information. I'm going to go ahead and hit copy. I'm going to go back to my original worksheet. And again, I'm going to click where I want it to start, that cell D5. I'm going to go to paste, and I am going to go to paste with the link there and click that one. And I'm going to clean up the formatting here. So I'm going to click my C column and oops, oh, let's not do that. Let's undo what I just did. All right. All right, so I'm going to click the C column. I'm going to click the format painter on the C column, and then I'm going to bring it to the D column here. And then I'm going to go ahead, I'm just going to clean up some of these zeros. So if I select them and I right click, I can clear my contents right there. So I'm just going to go ahead and clear those out. And I won't do everything here, but you can kind of go down the line. And again, like we've been doing, if there's anything that copies over that doesn't make sense here, you can just go ahead and delete it or clear it out. So these ones I'm just kind of deleting individually. and so on. So I'll let you guys kind of finish cleaning that up. But when you look here, you will see now if you select it, it'll tell you exactly which workbook it came from, the sheet and the cell. So you have that reference there. The nice thing as well that's helpful is if the workbooks are all open together, if I update one of the other workbooks, it will update here as well. So notice here, let's look at 2023. It says 20,302,000, right? So let me go to the other worksheet for 2023 and let's tweak it. Let's make it 21 million. Instead, I hit enter and I'm going to check that it updated here. So as long as all my worksheets are open or workbooks are open at the same time, it will update appropriately because we use those cell references. If we were to just bring in the data points and not paste it with the link, then they wouldn't update. They're no longer linked to each other. And there's pros and cons both ways, right? So if you are good with keeping your data organized and your workbooks are, again, are similar format. So it's pretty easy to copy and paste from one to the other. Like here, everything is set up with the same kind of row topics. Then using those cell references are nice because as one gets updated, the other one will also get updated. If you find that you really would like to have that static information instead, where you just bring in the data points at one time and they're no longer live links, then that sometimes works too. It really just depends on what you're trying to do. It's also important to keep in mind security as well. So because we're actually linking to a workbook here, if something were to happen with that other workbook and it got a virus, for instance, it could link to this workbook too. So it is really important to kind of keep that stuff in mind when you're linking workbooks, that they are linked. So if there's an issue with one, it could create that issue as well in your other workbook. So there are sometimes you may want to just bring in the data points and not do it in as a linked fashion, and that's fine too. But otherwise, if they're secure documents and you have good security, then linking them can be helpful. Since as one updates, the other one will, as long as they're all open, which is the key. So how do you deal with it? Let's say if you are, if you don't have it open, okay? So let's say I close, some of the other workbooks or whatever. And actually, maybe I'll do that. So let's actually go ahead and do that. So I'm going to go in. I'm going to save this workbook file. I'm going to save it as Tibetan practice. Okay. So I'm going to save this one. And I'm going to go in and I'm going to go ahead and close it. And I'm going to go ahead and close my other sheets as well, the ones that I was using here. I'm not going to save this one. I was just kind of playing around with it. All right, and then I'm going to go back and reopen them again. So I'm going to go into here. I saved it as Tibetan practice. So I'm going to reopen it. Okay, now one thing I want to show you is when you reopen the document, you will have a notification about a security warning, and it's reminding you that you have linked this document to other workbooks. So if you trust that, right? So I know that I own all of them. I have good security on my computer and things like that. Then I'm going to enable that content. So I'm going to, verify that no, these are secure documents. I feel confident linking them, and you just hit it. And it won't prompt you every single time. It'll stop prompting you once you've enabled it before, but it will remind you that you have linked documents the first time that you reopen that again as a security warning here. So now I don't have the other documents open. I just have this workbook open. So what you can do is you can go to the data tab up top, and in the data tab, let's see, I have to move some of my Zoom stuff around here. On the left, you see queries and connections, and you want to hit edit links. Sorry, the only problem with Zoom is I'm trying to rearrange everything on my screen at the same time. So here it's showing you what workbooks you've linked to. Again, I just linked to 2 of them. Your book encourages you to try doing more, but I just did 2 here. So you can see the 2 workbooks that are linked to, and you can also select update values. So maybe, it says status unknown. I can click update values, and once it hits OK, it has gone into my computer, it has found the other file, and it has now updated it. So remember, if they're not both open, you're not going to get that live update feature. You're going to have to kind of manually update. And again, you can also click check status, which will do all of them, and check that they're still linked appropriately. You do have the options to break links. So for instance, if I don't want this to be linked data anymore, I just want to have it be a static, whatever's in there now is going to stay. It's not going to keep updating and change. I could click the break link option. There is no undo there though. So if you want to redo the link, you have to, relink it with that paste link feature. So you do have the option to break a link later on if you decide that you don't want them linked. Or if you want to share that document with somebody else, maybe you want to unlink those before you start sharing it, for instance. You can also change the source of the document. So let's say you're renaming it, and you're saving it in a totally different area. Your computer's not going to be able to find it. You can change that source and let your computer know where the document is in particular. Usually if it's a minor change, it can still find it pretty well. But if you do some major changes to how it's saved or where it's stored, then you would have to change the source there as well. All right. So again, just some things to think about as you're going through, and I'm going to go ahead and click close here as well. Now, of course, there's other kinds of links, and there's ones that we're much more familiar with, and those are hyperlinks, and you can insert those into Excel as well. So let me show you how to do that. All right, I'm just going to follow, again, the instructions in Excel just to show you an example of it. So what they're recommending here is going down to cell G21, for instance. Now, maybe you want to give some more information about prime costs and link to that definition page that we have. So if you look on our sheet here, don't forget at the end we have our terms and definitions. So maybe you would like to go in and actually link to a different sheet in our document. You can do that. So I'm just going to do it in cell G21 here. And your book recommends we do the following. So we're going to start by hitting insert. And then you can see here on the right, there's a link feature. So I'm going to go ahead and hit insert link. And then there's different kinds of links you can insert. So if there is an existing file that you want to link to the entire file, for instance, or maybe a sheet of that file or a cell of that file, I could go ahead and link. So I could link to, I don't know, that support file or something like that instead. We're going to create a place in this document, meaning that we're going to link to something that's already in this workbook. So this here is if you want to link to something that is not in this workbook, so a different file or a website or something like that. This one is if you want to link to something within this workbook. So we're going to do that here. So we're going to use cell reference C16 because that is the cell that I want to link the information to. And I'm going to do it from the terms and definitions sheet. So if you go to your terms and definitions sheet, then you'll see that cell C16 is the definition for prime costs. So I'm telling Excel exactly which cell and which sheet I want to be displayed when I link to it. So I'm selecting that here. You do want to hit screen tip as well. Screen tip is what comes up when your mouse hovers over a link. It will give you some more information. So we could write something like, click to learn more about prime costs. And then the other thing I want to change here is the text to display. So this looks kind of funny. I don't really want my Excel document to say terms in 16, C16, right? That doesn't really tell the reader what it is. So maybe I would say something like, click for more information. And then when I'm ready, I can go ahead and click OK here. And then you can see there's a link. So I wrote click for more information. When I hover over it, this was my screen tip, click to learn more about prime costs. And if I click that link, it brings me to my terms and definitions page, cell C16. So that is how one way that we can link. So again, I'm going to hit that insert button here, go over to link, insert link, and you can play around with this. So Place in this document is when we're linking to a specific place within the same workbook. So I'm just making kind of quick reference for a reader so that they're not clicking around trying to find the information. They can go right to that spot. If you want to link to a different file or a web page, you would use this instead. You can also create a new document, or of course you can link to an email address. So let me actually come out of here for a second. So maybe I would like to link to my email address. I'm going to put it, I don't know, right here in cell C3 or something. All right, so maybe I'm the lead person on this, and I would like my email address to be available for people to respond to. So under email address, I can put in my email address. The subject is what the subject line of the email should always say. So I can pre-pick the subject. So for instance, maybe I want it to say something like regarding the Tibetan grill, right? So something that I know if it comes in, it came from this particular workbook that somebody was looking at. And again, I want to change that text to display. Maybe I want to say something like, please email with any questions. And again, I can add in a screen tip. Email Professor Pollard for with questions about this workbook. Click here, right? So whatever I want my screen tip to be. Maybe I can learn to type. There we go. So the text display is what will show as the link. I have my email address, and then again, I'm able to kind of pre-put in that subject line. And I can hit OK. And then you can see it. There's the text that I wrote. If you, I spelled please wrong, excuse that one. I scroll over this and I have my little tip here, email Professor Paul with questions about this workbook, click here. And if you click this, I'm not going to do it here because it will open up my personal email, but it will open up an email at like, it will open up your email on your own computer and will insert my email address and subject line automatically. So it's easier for someone to contact you. They're not searching or copying and pasting. They can just click this link and on their own computer, it will open their own email, assuming that you're logged in, right? And then it will automatically input my email address there for them, making that easy. So those are just two examples of hyperlinks that you can insert as well. And I encourage you to kind of just play around with some of those hyperlinks, try different things. Try your own email, see if it works and see if you can, get that to function correctly.